Welcome to Tuesday's edition of TimesCast. In Afghanistan, girls dressing as boys.
She says that, I hope there will be a day when it won't matter if she's a boy or a girl.
President Obama stumps for the Democrats.
I think they feel they have an opening on this tax cuts debate.
And what happens when insects are the main course?
There's like a rush. It's like you're jumping off a building or a cliff.
Jenny Nordberg on her story about a form of gender equality in Afghanistan.
Today's story in the New York Times took several months to report. It first started when I was waiting to speak to Azita Rafat for an entirely different story. I was chatting to her daughters in another room, and they told me that their brother was really a girl. I had no idea what they were talking about, but that eventually turned out to be true. It took me a long time to even drum up the courage to ask their mother about it. And after that, she took her time to think about whether she wanted to speak about it. Eventually she did, and one of the first things she told me was that I'm not the only one doing this. We talked about why she would want to do this at length, and I think that at times I even tried to talk her out of it because I was a little afraid. She's an idealist, and the very reason for her wanting to become a politician is what she went through and what she has experienced herself. So she has a very strong desire for change. She says that, I hope there will be a day when it won't matter if she's a boy or a girl.
Jim Roberts and Nate Silver, the 538 blog writer on President Obama's campaign and fundraising schedule.
Nate, judging from President Obama's schedule this week, it looks like now is the time where the Democrats have said, we're going to take on the Republicans and counterattack.
Well, they haven't had much of a national message for a long time, in part because they've been reluctant to run on things like healthcare or the stimulus policies that have become, at best kind of moderately unpopular with the public.
Right.
But I think they feel they have an opening on this tax cuts debate, which is taking place in Congress later this week and next.
To what extent could they possibly use the Tea Party as a foil? It seems after the Delaware results, it seems like the Democrats have gotten a little bit more steam. Is there any value in taking them on directly?
I think there is some risk to Democrats of saying, hey, kind of all these Republicans are crazy, you don't want to vote for them, in part because, a lot of Republican candidates are not Tea Party candidates. It almost seems to endorse the normal quote-unquote Republican candidates when you point an O'Donnell or someone out, and Republicans can make substantial gains based on those races alone.
Okay, put yourself in the seat of a Democratic strategist.
Sure.
If you could pick like 3 states, where you would suggest that the Democrats really focus their attention right now, where would that be?
Well, I think some of the key states are out west, actually. In California, for instance, where Barbara Boxer has had some better polling numbers lately, likewise with Patty Murray in Washington, and of course kind of Harry Reid in Nevada. Republicans have to basically sweep all the competitive Senate seats to take the Senate, and if they can't win, one of those states, certainly not 2 of those states, and they have a lot of problems.
Okay, interesting. Well, we'll see where things are next week.
A look at one chef's attempts to make bugs tasty.
Each insect that you're going to try tonight has a really distinct, different kind of flavor. I've made them a bit crunchy for you because it seems like people who have never had edible insects before like crunchy rather than gooey.
Fried yucca topped with mealworms, smoked corn custard, and wax moth larvae. These were just a few of the bug-infested dishes on display at Brooklyn Kitchen in Williamsburg on Saturday night.
Are these raw?
They're raw. And those are prepared with the garlic.
See, that's the first time I've eaten an insect where it has a juice and a flavor.
The real one.
For $85 a plate, guests were served a 5-course Mexican-inspired meal with alcohol pairing, prepared by San Francisco-based chef and artist Phil Ross.
A lot of people think that insects are revolting or disgusting, and when you show people that they're actually quite delicious, it inverts all these ideas. And to take something disgusting and show that it's something beautiful, to me, I think that's the primary motivation. And they're also just really tasty.
Nobody ever wants to know that you're eating an animal, and everybody gets grossed out, but you love your hamburgers. So what about something like this? So it's like, and it tastes actually good.
Join us again tomorrow for another edition of TimesCast.